Chào các anh chị và các bạn, thì hội thảo của chúng ta sẽ có thể là bắt đầu trong vòng 1 phút nữa ha, để đảm bảo cái thời gian của chương trình cũng như là sự tham gia của các diễn giả có mặt trong buổi hôm nay. Thì các anh chị mình có người thân hoặc là có bạn bè có nhu cầu muốn tìm hiểu về chương trình visa 491 SBO tại tiểu bang Queensland, mọi người có thể share cái link tham dự này đến cho các bạn của mình để chúng ta cùng tham gia buổi hội thảo hôm nay ha. Okay, we start now. Đầu tiên thì cho phép Prospero Solutions cảm ơn các anh chị, các khách hàng đã dành thời gian tham gia vào buổi hội thảo webinar tọa đàm định cư Úc với visa 491 SBO tại tiểu bang Queensland. Cùng tham gia với chúng ta ngày hôm nay, em xin giới thiệu đến bà Moni Richardson, chuyên viên cao cấp cơ quan di trú tại tiểu bang Queensland, chị Minh Nguyễn và ông Rubin Yang là luật sư di trú đến từ văn phòng luật sư Aston Legal, và ông John Huân là CEO của công ty Prospero Solutions. Để bắt đầu buổi hội thảo của chúng ta hôm nay thì mình xin phép mời anh John Huân, đại diện của công ty Prospero Solutions, sẽ có một bài chia sẻ đến với các anh chị và các bạn. Xin mời anh.
Xin chào tất cả các quý khách tham gia cái buổi hội thảo hôm nay. Thank you Ruben, thank you Marnie Richardson, thank you Min to come to join us for the webinar introduced the 491 SBO in Queensland. So hôm nay thì Prospero Solutions phối hợp cùng Aston Legal tổ chức và chính quyền của tiểu bang Queensland tổ chức cái buổi giới thiệu về chương trình visa SBO 491 của tiểu bang Queensland. Thì chúng tôi sẽ nhường diễn đàn lại cho viên chức của của tiểu bang Queensland cũng như là của luật sư của Aston Legal. Vì Prospero Solutions sẽ phối hợp với những các đơn vị này để thực hiện cái hồ sơ định cư cho quý vị tại tiểu bang Queensland dưới chương trình 491 SBO, là một chương trình rất là hấp dẫn hiện nay do tiểu bang Queensland đang là chủ trì cái chương trình này. Xin cảm ơn và hy vọng rằng quý vị sẽ tìm được nhiều cái thông tin bổ ích trong cái buổi trao đổi ngày hôm nay.
Thank you anh John. Để tiếp tục chương trình thì xin mời luật sư di trú chị Minh Nguyễn và ông Rubin Yang sẽ giới thiệu với các bạn các điều kiện để tham gia các chương trình visa 491 SBO tại tiểu bang Queensland. Now we can Aston Legal, can we start your presentation now? Yes.
Thank you, Annie. Hi everyone, just bear with me for 1 second. I'm just going to share our presentation. Sorry, 2 seconds. Okay, can everyone see that? Hi, welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, John from Prospero Consulting, and thank you, Marnie from Migration Queensland for joining us today. As Annie said, my name is Minh Nguyen. I am a Vietnamese-born Australian working registered migration agent. So I've been registered since 2016. But prior to that, I was working at the Department of Home Affairs for about 4 years. And that I was better able to use my skills working directly with clients. So I switched over to the private sector, working as a registered migration agent. I joined Aston Legal Services in beginning of 2020, but I have known Robin since 2016. And in terms of Aston Legal Services, we do specialise in a number of programs, including the General Skilled Migration Program, which we'll be talking about today, more specifically the 491 visa stream. But we also do the Global Talent Visa, Employer-Driven Migration Program, and the Business Innovation and Investment Visas. So I'd like to introduce you to our Principal Legal Solicitor, Mr. Robin Yang. Just for an introduction about himself before we move on with the information.
Hello everyone, thank you for making the time to join this information session. And thank you to Prospero for organizing this event, as well as Marnie to join us from the Queensland migration team. Thank you to Mean for the introduction. So my name is Robin. I have lived in Australia for the last 25 years, and I'm a solicitor admitted to practice in Australia. And my area, my focus area of practice is migration law, so Australia-bound migration. And we do all types of visas, including skilled visas and family-driven visas, as well as administrative appeals tribunals. So if a client, not necessarily our clients, if someone else's visa had been refused by the department, the Australian legislation provides an avenue for the visa applicant to seek a review of their refusal record. We assist the clients to take their case to the Administrative Appeals Tribunal, or if required, we can assist them with judicial review, where the case is determined in a court of law. So that's something we do in addition to the visa application work. We also specialize in health waivers as well as character waivers. So some of the visa applications would allow a visa applicant who might have a health condition to still migrate to Australia, and that requires a health waiver. So that's something we've done quite a lot of, as well as character issues. Sometimes a candidate or a visa applicant has a criminal record where we need to step in and convince immigration department, despite of the earlier character issue, that they are now a very good person, reformed, and they should still be eligible for a grant of the visa. The health waiver is not applicable for all visas. For example, for the 491 visa, there is no health waiver, but some other visas they do. We've assisted clients from all over the world. Vietnam is one of our key market where Australia has a very good relationship with Vietnam in terms of economic relationship, transactions, import and export, as well as, you know, a lot of Vietnamese have established themselves as successful business people and professionals in Australia. So together with Prospero, we are looking forward to helping suitably qualified Vietnamese clients to migrate to Australia and to the state of Queensland.
Thank you, Robin. I'm just going to get Annie to share the slides because I think with my internet it's a bit laggy. So just while Annie does that, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are already quite familiar with the general skilled migration pathways. But today's topic is primarily focused on the provisional visa stream under the skilled migration program, which is the subclass 491, the skilled regional visa. It's the only provisional stream within the GSM visa program. There are two other permanent visas as well as one transitional permanent visa, which is the subclass 191, newly introduced just, I think, 1 year ago. Back in 2020. The other skilled programs is a skilled independent subclass 189 and the skilled state nominated visa, which is subclass 190, which Migration Queensland also provides nomination for, but in particular for today, we just want to focus on the 491 under the small business owner stream, because a lot of people are very interested in migrating to Queensland under this program, and I think it also helps the economic bringing of the state as well as of Australia during the pandemic as well. Next, please. Okay, so what is the skilled work regional visa program. It is a program to attract skilled migrants, particularly under the age of 45 years old. So to be eligible for this program, you do have to have qualifications and work experience from a relevant skilled occupation list. In particular, with the 491 visa, your occupation can be from the short-term, but most important program, it does require the support and the endorsement of a state or territory government. And today we have a closer look at what that is in terms of Queensland's state requirement and for the small business owner stream. So once you have that skilled occupation, you do assessing for occupation. Then what happens is you do have to claim at least a minimum of 65 points. So we'll go through briefly what those points can entail. Once you have that 65 points, you submit an expression of interest. It's a system just to say, just to flag that you are an interested candidate, what your potential are in terms of the points that you can claim, and your skills and qualifications. So once that's in the system, then you have to wait to be invited to apply. So with the 491, you do have to have, in today's seminar, Queensland's support and invitation to apply. But let's have a look at what areas of points you can claim in order to start the process for the 491 visa. Thank you, Annie. Next slide, please. So I think everyone's very familiar with the traditional points claim under age, qualifications, work experience, whether you've completed your studies in Australia, your specialist studies, but more recently, and again, it was only introduced back in 2020, there's an increase in the number of points that a state can attribute to you. So for 491 state sponsorship, instead of 10 points, you can now claim 15 points. If you do have a skilled spouse or de facto partner, then you can also claim 10 points. So with the partner points, your partner has to have an occupation on the same list, same eligible list as what stream you're going for. So if you're going for the 491, your partner can choose an occupation from any of the three lists mentioned. They also have to show at least competent English to be eligible for those 10 points. If you don't have a partner, don't worry, the department doesn't discriminate. So you can still get 10 points for being a single applicant, or you can get 10 points by virtue of having an Australian citizen or permanent resident partner. Now you can claim 10 points as opposed to 5 points for qualifications in any of the STEM fields, so that's science, technology, engineering and mathematics. If your de facto partner or spouse, other than an Australian citizen, does not have a full skills assessment, they can also give you points. They just need to show that they have competent English, so that only gives you 5 points. And there is also an additional 5 points for having studied in a designated regional area. So that's fine, thank you. Next slide. So what does the 491 visa allow you to do? So once you are, you've been invited by the state to apply for the state nomination. If you meet the state requirements, then you will then be invited to apply for the actual visa application. Once you lodge the visa, so I should mention that once you are invited to apply for the visa, you're given 60 days to apply for the visa. But for the state nomination application itself, Money, correct me if I'm wrong, it's only 14 days to upload your information.
That's correct.
But Money will probably go through that in the next few minutes. Then once your visa is approved, the 491 allows you to stay in Australia for 5 years. So it's a provisional visa granted for 5 years. You can live and study in a designated regional area. So at the moment, the designated area is anywhere except Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. If you, sorry, Annie, can you go back to the previous slide?
Hemant, you can see it.
So okay, maybe I'll just step in because I think Min's internet connection is not very solid there. So so the aim of the 491 visa, the 491 is a provisional visa. So I guess, you know, everyone would be aiming for a permanent visa down the track. So once you get the 491 visa, you can live in Australia for 5 years. And for this visa, you are required to live and work and study in a designated regional area. So not only the main applicant must work and run their business in a regional area, but also their family members are also expected to live and work and study. If their kids are studying at university, they're also expected to study at a university that is located in a designated regional area. This visa does provide international travel facilities, so you can come and go, travel overseas. There is an expectation that you actively operate your business. I'm sure Marnie will touch on that later on, because it's a visa that is nominated on the basis of you being a small business owner. So you're supposed to be running the business. You can of course go overseas for holidays, but there's an expectation for you to spend most of the time in Australia, and that is also a requirement for you to later on to be able to become eligible for the permanent visa. So you must work and live in the designated regional area for at least 3 years, where the business you have nominated to get the nomination for. And you also have to meet the minimum income threshold to qualify for the permanent resident visa. So your taxable income must reach a certain level, and it is expected that this level is at 53,900. No one is yet eligible to apply for the 191 visa, the permanent visa yet, because people are still on the 491. They haven't reached the 3-year minimum residence requirement yet. But eventually this 191 visa will be open to 491 visa holders who are now eligible to who will then be eligible to apply for the 191 visa. Okay, thank you, Anne. This is a table which outline the different costs. These are the federal government's cost for visa application charges for the 491 visa. The state government have their own charges for assessing a nomination application. So yeah, the visa applicant is also required to meet the health and the character requirements, so there's additional cost, but these are the cost might go up every year. On the 1st of July, the government will index their government charges, so it will slightly go up. So in terms of Ashton Legal's assistance, we usually have a chat with the client first, that is potential visa applicants, to look at their eligibility. So mainly the focus will be on whether the candidate will be able to get a positive skills assessment, and whether they'll meet the minimum points threshold in terms of the points test. And if the client is able to do that, we will also discuss with the client what their business intentions are, and whether in collaboration with Prospero, looking at what business opportunities there are for the clients, how it's going to be best suited to the client based on their previous experience, because that'll also point to the candidate's ability to run that business successfully once they've got the visa. Once the client is engaged, we will assist the client with a personalized document checklist and submit an expression of interest. Throughout the process, we will also refer to the Queensland government's nomination criteria, and make sure you also meet the Queensland government's nomination criteria. We submit an expression of interest. We also need to put in expression of interest with the state government, wait until the state government issues an invitation to apply for a nomination. We then assist you with the nomination process involving engaging with the state government. Finally, once we receive the state nomination, we will be able to, as Min mentioned before, we will have to submit the visa application within the 60-day time frame. So we will take you from the very beginning to the end until you get the 491 visa. And Prospero can also guide you, provide some assistance in terms of you successfully running the business for once you hold the 491 visa to make you meet the criteria for the 191 visa later on. Thank you. I think that's all from us. And then we'll hand over to Marnie to talk about the Queensland State Government's requirement, and then we can open for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robin, for the presentation and for stepping in for Min, and thank you, Min, for starting the presentation. I'd also like to just generally say thank you to Prospero Solutions and Ashton Legal for organising this webinar today. Thank you to Min, Robin, John and Annie for all your work. And today I'm going to talk about the 491 Small Business Owners Program. And just to introduce myself further, my name is Marnie Richardson and I'm a Senior Project Officer at Migration Queensland. I'm also a registered migration agent. I actually went the other way from Min. I used to be in private practice and now I work for the state government, and I've been with the state government for about 3 years now. Working in marketing and promotions. I also do program management, and I'm a case officer for the 491 SBO. So Annie, if you could put the presentation up now and I'll start the presentation.
Sorry,
Okay.
you didn't see the screen?
No, I can't see the screen at the moment. Yes, I can see that now.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So just before I start, I'd also like to say thank you for everyone listening online today. Thank you very much for coming along, and thank you for your interest in the 491 Small Business Owners Pathway. So just to start off, to give you a little bit of background of who we are, Migration Queensland is a business unit of Trade and Investment Queensland, and we're the Queensland Government agency responsible for visa nomination. So, oh, I think someone just needs to go on mute. Thank you. We have a long-standing arrangement with the Commonwealth Government to nominate for a range of business and skilled visas. So the business visas include the 188 Business Innovation and Investment visas, and the skilled visas are the 190 Permanent visa and also the 491 Skilled Work Regional visa. So of course, this 491 Small Business Owners Pathway is through the 491 Skilled Program, and it just basically allows an applicant to buy a business instead of working for an employer. And just to let you know that I actually created this program alongside with my team members at Migration Queensland, and we started it at the end of 2019. And in the first year, in 2020, we had about 5 nominations, and then that increased to about 50 in the next year. But this year, this financial year, we now have over 200 EOIs, so it's becoming very, very popular. And the type of businesses that we're seeing coming through, probably the most popular one so far are definitely cafes and restaurants. So that includes Vietnamese restaurants. That includes there's quite a few pizza restaurants and a lot of different types of cafes. Convenience stores have also been really popular, including some Asian small convenience stores and grocery stores. Transport and logistics are becoming more popular. We had a bit of a run on petrol stations as well for a particular cohort. We also have seen massage clinics and a number of different franchises such as, you know, Coffee Club and Pizza Hut, just to give you an example. Next slide, please, Annie. Okay, so today I'm going to give you an overview of the purpose of the program. Then I'm going to go into the criteria of the program. We've also got some new criteria, fairly new criteria, if you want to start your own business instead of buying a business. I'm going to talk about what the advantages of the program are, the application process, the documents that you'll need to support your application, and also give you a look at a successful applicant that's come through the program and is thriving in his business. Next slide, please. Okay, so Min and Robin have already been through the requirements, the Home Affairs criteria. So I won't touch on that, but really this visa, the purpose of the visa is used, or the program is used to reward small business owners in regional Queensland for investing in the local business community. We use it, we have created it to encourage ongoing regional residents and to provide employment opportunities for local residents. So as Robin you know, correctly pointed out, is we really want you to continue to run your business for at least 3 years, if not for an extended period of time. We really want genuine applicants who are entrepreneurs that really want to integrate into the local community. So we do have a monitoring process to ensure the integrity of the program. So we will be checking up, you know, in the subsequent years after you get your nomination to make sure that you're continuing to run your business, because we don't want people looking at this stream as, you know, an option to get a visa in an easier way, because the requirements are a little bit lower in some areas. And I'll go through that now. Annie, if you can move on to the next slide, please. Okay, so first of all, you need to meet the Home Affairs criteria. And I just want to emphasize that this is a skilled visa. This is not a business visa. So, you know, you are coming through the 491 skilled program. So once you meet those minimum requirements, such as having a skills assessment, having an occupation on a list, meeting those 65 points, then this is the additional criteria, our criteria that you need to meet. So the first point is that you need to purchase an existing business in a regional area for at least $100,000 minimum. You know, we have seen, especially with Vietnamese clients, that they are purchasing businesses for, you know, it can be anywhere from 100,000 to 250,000. So 100,000 is just the minimum. The business needs to be operating for at least 2 years. So when you're doing your due diligence and buying the business, you need to make sure that the seller is able to provide proof that the business has been operating and trading for at least 2 years. And that can be in the form of BAS statements, for example. Just a really, you know, critical point I want to make on this is that you really should be using an accountant and a lawyer and possibly a business broker when you're looking for a business. You know, so Robin was mentioning that, you know, Prospero can help you do that. We really would, you know, emphasize that this is important, because we do see applicants coming through and they've just bought a business and they've had no one check the books or check whether it's worth what they're paying for it. So that's really important, because we don't want you to be scammed, and we want you to buy a business that is a successful business and you can hit the ground running. You also need to, oh, sorry, just quickly, if you can just go back to the other slide, thank you. You also need to employ one Australian citizen, PR, or New Zealand resident citizen for at least 20 hours a week. You need to operate the business for at least 6 months, and that is operating the business full time, so 35 hours a week. So you do need to have full-time work rights. So it's really perfect for someone on a 485 visa, or maybe the dependent of someone on a master's degree, on a student visa that's studying a master's degree. It's only open to onshore applicants who have purchased a business in Queensland. And as I mentioned before, we want you to go to regional Queensland, commit to Queensland, and commit to your business. And really, why wouldn't you? Queensland is a beautiful place to be. Next slide, please. So this is the fairly new criteria. We're also allowing now a stream for startups. And I guess it's a little bit misleading because you still need to run your business for 2 years prior to being eligible for this stream. So it's for people that want to start their own business. And our criteria after the 2 years is that the business must be generating a profit, and you also need to have a turnover of at least $200,000 in the 12 months prior to application. So it's just the turnover. The business must be profitable, but that's not a profit of $200,000, it's the turnover. So if you're looking at this pathway, you don't need to have invested $100,000 into the business. This is separate to the other stream. So this is different. You also need to be operating the business full time, so 35 hours a week for 6 months prior to submitting an EOI. However, the 18 months before that doesn't necessarily need to be the case. So, if obviously students can work full time at the moment, but that may change. But if you want to start while you're still studying, we will accept that. You need to have 100% ownership of the business, and you also need to employ one Australian citizen, PR, or New Zealand citizen. Next slide, please. Okay, so what are the advantages of the 491 SBO? Really, the beauty of the 491 SBO is that an applicant can choose to work for themselves instead of an employer. So it's really like a self-sponsorship pathway option. There's a very extensive list of occupations available. So we do select from the full legislative instrument, where there's 504 occupations on that list. Another really positive point is that you only need to have a 65 points minimum. And, if you're looking at the 491 and the 190 program, for example, this year, we are picking up from the highest points first. So, and a minimum of 80 points for the 190. So 65 wouldn't reach the bar. You also only need competent English. For the 190 and the 491 this year, we are requiring proficient English if you're just coming through the general streams. Another great point is that the nominated occupation does not need to match the type of business that you're buying. But as Robin said, it is better if you buy a business that matches your skills and experience, although it doesn't have to. So we've seen quite a lot of accountants buying restaurants that are still, doing very well. This point here about where the funds can come from. At the moment, the funds can come from any source. So, you can receive a gift from your parents, or you can have your own money, or you can get a bank loan. We have been seeing more vendor financing coming through. And, what we've seen is that in these situations, the applicants don't really have the money up front, but they're paying off the business, and sometimes over a long period of time. And that's not really what we're looking for. So just be very careful when you're looking at vendor financing, because that might be a requirement that we may change in the future, because we really want people that have the money up front and they have some funds behind them to help them run the business. We're not looking for applicants that don't have the capital to become successful. And look, we've also seen a lot of applicants from interstate, so a lot of applicants from Melbourne and Sydney come here and then settle in regional Queensland and buy a business, and that's absolutely fine. They're eligible for the program. Most of them will come up on a 485 visa, and that's fine as long as they have that the full work rights and a 485 visa. Next slide, please. Okay, so moving on to the application process. As I mentioned previously, first of all, you need to meet the Home Affairs criteria, the base criteria for the 491 visa. Then you also need to meet our criteria. Then at that point, you need to lodge your EOI, and Ashton Legal, of course, can help you with that. And we do request that you have all the documents ready prior to lodging an EOI. And that includes your skills assessment and English especially, because as Min mentioned, you only have 14 days to provide all of your documents. If we refuse a document, then we give you another 3 days to provide another document in its place, but we don't often give massive extensions. The biggest extension we might give is a week. So make sure you've got your documents ready. Then we will send you out an invitation once we pick you up to lodge your documents to prove your EOI claims. And then once we've assessed those documents, you can pay, and then we will give you a nomination if all are assessed positively, and then an invitation to lodge the visa will come through, and you have 60 days to lodge that visa application. Next slide, please. Okay, there's one other step that I actually didn't talk about. Once you lodge your EOI, you've also got to go in and lodge a form. It's basically an assessment form that can be found on our website. And actually, Annie, if you can just jump back one slide, please. Thank you. It's just on the second column, and that's where you can find it. It's on our website, migration.queensland.gov.au 491 SBO assessment form. So you need to lodge that. You need to submit that through the website once you've lodged your EOI, so we know that you meet the basic criteria, and we will go in and pick you up. Otherwise, you wouldn't be picked up because you may have lower points and you may have a lower English level. Next slide, please. Okay, so that's what it looks like, and that's the information that you'll need to fill out. This is the 491 SBO Document Checklist. So these are the documents that we do require to evidence your EOI. So it is quite extensive, but as I said, just make sure you have all of your documents ready prior to lodging your EOI. So I won't go through that, but that just gives you an overview of what is required, and that document checklist can also be found on our website. Next slide, please, Annie. Okay, so I just want to end my presentation with a 491 SBO case study. This is Charles Yujao Chen, and he actually bought a convenience store, a small kind of grocery store in Burleigh Heads in March 2020. So at the start of lockdowns, basically. But he was really quite smart with his choice of business, because he was able to stay open and continue operating, and he actually was profitable through that whole period. So what he's been doing is basically building up his products from the local market, and he's also looking at expanding his convenience store to other suburbs around the area. So, you know, he's doing really, really well, and you know, he's been nominated and his visa has also been granted. And just actually on that point, I mentioned that he bought his business in Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast, and we've found that majority of our applications have been coming through from the Gold Coast, and we do want to encourage investment in further or regional areas outside of the southeast corner. So that is something that we are considering at the moment, how to encourage that investment in kind of more regional areas. So again, when you're looking at purchasing a business, make sure that you're considering other areas outside of the Gold Coast, because there may be some, you know, we are considering how to encourage that investment further afield. Next slide, please, Annie. Okay, so thank you very much for listening to my presentation. If you'd like more information on the 491 SBO, please go to migration.queensland.gov.au. If you're not already if you haven't already liked our Facebook page, please like our Facebook page, Migration Queensland. We put a lot of visa updates on that page, and we also have a Twitter page, a LinkedIn page, and a Weibo page. So please feel free to join any of our social media pages. And now I'd like to move on to a Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask any questions, and Annie will be moderating.
Yes, thank you, Marnie. Cảm ơn cái phần present của văn phòng luật sư cũng như là chuyển viên di trú đến từ tiểu bang Queensland. Sau cái phần thuyết trình của các diễn giả thì các anh chị và các bạn có câu hỏi nào đến cho các diễn giả thì xin mời để câu hỏi vào phần post chat để chúng ta có thể là đặt câu hỏi đến cho chính quyền của tiểu bang ạ. Yeah, I have a question. So, loại hình kinh doanh nào được ưu tiên? So the kind of the company in the priority in the Queensland, maybe the business area, the priority business area, and the priority in the Queensland. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. In terms of priority business areas, because this is a skilled visa and it's really focused on small businesses, there's no priority business area that we will put forward. So it's whatever you have assessed as something that you can run with your skills and your background, that you're willing to invest $100,000 into, but it can be anything basically. So you know, as I mentioned, cafes, restaurants, it's whatever you want to do. There's no priority that we're looking for, as long as you're investing in a small business in a regional area and you employ one employee.
Yeah, thank you, Monique. Thì với câu hỏi của một vị khách hàng là hỏi về các loại hình kinh doanh nào được ưu tiên tại tiểu bang Queensland khi mà làm visa này á, thì diễn giả có trả lời là không có một cái loại hình kinh doanh nào được ưu tiên cả, và họ sẽ chấp nhận tất cả các loại hình kinh doanh mà khách hàng mong muốn, miễn là nó tương ứng với lại cái background của đương đơn. Ví dụ như là có thể về mở cửa hàng về cà phê, về nhà hàng, miễn sao cái mức tối thiểu đầu tư cho một cái loại hình kinh doanh là $100,000 Úc theo điều kiện của chương trình. Thì quý anh chị và các bạn có thực sự có nhu cầu và đảm bảo được các điều kiện thì chuyên viên tư vấn của Prospero sẽ liên hệ các anh chị để tư vấn cụ thể hơn và chi tiết hơn, tương ứng với lại background của mình thì mình có thể là kinh doanh các loại hình nào phù hợp, cũng như là về yêu cầu sở thích cũng như về cái ngân sách của nhà mình ha. Thì chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục chuyển qua câu hỏi thứ hai. So the client is studying in the accounting, and she has the skill assessment in the accounting, so that she want to build a business related onto the F&A, maybe restaurant. Is this okay for eligible for her to open a restaurant when
So
she's
So she wants to open her own restaurant, or she wants to buy a restaurant?
Yeah.
Yes. Look, we've seen many accountants come through operating restaurants, so that's absolutely fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Một khách hàng hỏi là bạn đang học về mảng accounting thì không có liên quan gì đến về cái mảng hospitality hay là F&B, thì bạn có thể mở được một cái doanh nghiệp về nhà hàng hay không? Thì phía chuyên viên của chính quyền tiểu bang họ nói là vẫn có những cái đơn học về ngành kế toán accounting, nhưng mà vẫn mở được cái mô hình kinh doanh liên quan đến nhà hàng thì hoàn toàn có thể chấp nhận được theo cái chương trình visa 491 này ha. Another questions, the client is keep the tourist visa and maybe a working holiday visa, maybe the subclass the 462 at the moment, so that he or she can apply the 491 as small business owner at the moment.
Sorry, Annie, what visa is the client on at the moment?
Maybe the working holiday visa subclass 462.
462, yes, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if they're on a tourist visa, that's not going to be eligible. But 462, and they need to have been operating, they just need to meet the criteria. They need to have had full-time work rights for at least 6 months prior to application.
Yeah. Okay. Một khách hàng có câu hỏi là nếu mà đang giữ visa du lịch hoặc là kết hợp với lại visa làm việc 1 năm như là visa Working Holiday 462 á, thì có thể làm hồ sơ 491 được hay không? Thì diễn giả trả lời rằng đối với visa du lịch thì mình sẽ không thỏa điều kiện, bởi vì khi mà mình nộp hồ sơ 491 SBO á, thì mình cần điều hành, mình cần vận hành cái business đó ít nhất trong vòng 6 tháng và thời gian là full time. Do đó visa du lịch thì mình sẽ không được làm việc tại Úc ha. Còn cái visa Working Holiday 462 á, thì mình hoàn toàn có thể thực hiện được việc mình mua một cái business và mình vận hành business đó trong thời gian ít nhất 6 tháng. So the next question is about the processing time for the visa 491, maybe in the EOI or stake nomination and the visa processing time.
Thank you for the question. Our processing time for the 491 SBO is around 4 to 6 weeks from the time that we have picked it up at the moment. That's because we've received a lot of 491 SBO EOIs. So that's a little bit extended to what we would normally do in terms of processing. So it's about 4 to 6 weeks. In regards to the 491 visa processing time, that is the Department of Home Affairs. They obviously process the visa. I haven't checked that for a while, actually. I would say it's normally around a year. Annie, or sorry, Min, have you had any experience with processing times for 491 lately?
Yeah, so at the moment, the global processing time published on the department's website. So 25% of the visas are processed within 78 days, 50% are processed within 6 months, 75% are processed within 9 months, and 90% of visas are processed within 20 months. So realistically, yeah, I think you are maybe looking between the 9 to 20 months. But I think also because it's a regional skilled visa and the department has a focus on supporting the regional visa programs, that it might come through a lot quicker than, say, the 189 or the 190 visa processing.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. So you mentioned that MQ is establishing sort of a monitoring process after the 491 visa is granted.
Yes.
within the current context of the pandemic, a lot of clients who have invested within the hospitality industry may find that it's a bit difficult with all the lockdowns and the restrictions for their business to thrive. If within those 3 years there's an intention to change the business that they're operating, what's Migration Queensland's approach on that? Would they support it, or would the client still need to maintain the investment of $100,000 across the 3 years? Is it quite strict in that sense?
Look, it would really, it's probably, we'd look at it on a case-by-case basis, because hopefully we're not going to get a huge number of clients doing that. But look, it is up to them when they're on the visa as to what they need to do. So, you know, we just want to ensure that they're genuine. So if there's a genuine reason why they need to sell their business or close their business, and they then go on to purchase another business in a regional area, as long as we can see that there's a genuine reason behind it, then, you know, theoretically that should be fine.
Thank you, chị Minh.
So we would just say and contact us if that is happening.
Okay.
Is the monitoring in form of a survey, or how is that conducted?
Yes, it will be.
Yeah. So I have the time for translate to the client because there is the good questions. Về câu hỏi mà về thời gian xét duyệt visa 491 thì đối với lại thời gian xét duyệt của tiểu bang, chính quyền tiểu bang cấp cái state nomination cho các đương đơn thì phải tầm khoảng thời gian từ 4 đến 6 tuần. Tuy nhiên thì trong các cuộc đó hiện tại bây giờ nó cũng khá nhiều hồ sơ thì maybe thời gian nó sẽ extend nhiều hơn một chút. Đối với còn thời gian về xét duyệt của visa 491 khi mà bộ hồ sơ mình đã nộp lên cho chính quyền liên bang á, thì mình sẽ thời gian trung bình sẽ kéo dài từ khoảng là 6 tháng, 9 tháng hoặc 12 tháng tùy vào cái số lượng hồ sơ mà bạn nộp đó là bao nhiêu. Thì maybe nó sẽ tầm khoảng từ dưới 1 năm ha. Về một cái câu hỏi mà chị luật sư có hỏi của một khách hàng hỏi lên chính quyền tiểu bang là khi mà mình chọn cái loại hình business ban đầu là ví dụ như là restaurant đây, thì sau khi mình nhận được cái visa 491 á, thì 3 năm sau mình có được quyền chuyển đổi cái loại hình kinh doanh hay không, thì phía chính quyền tiểu bang có trả lời là sẽ tùy thuộc vào case by case và xem được cái kế hoạch kinh doanh mà bạn muốn thay đổi là gì, họ sẽ xét duyệt cái phần đó. Vì cũng có nhiều trường hợp đương đơn đã muốn thay đổi về kế hoạch kinh doanh rồi, nên là cái trường hợp này thì mình vẫn có thể làm được. Tuy nhiên mình phía luật sư cũng như là phía Prospero khi mà bạn muốn làm thì bên mình sẽ tư vấn hướng dẫn cho bạn cụ thể là mình sẽ thay đổi như thế nào và mình sẽ nộp cái kế hoạch kinh doanh mới đó như thế nào để tụi bạn xét duyệt ha. So we have another questions. The client only have the bond tag in maybe the 50 point, so that he is eligible for the apply the 491 SBO.
Yes, they are. If they've got, thank you for the question. If you've got 50 points on your own, you know, on your own, then we will award you with 15 points once we nominate you. So that will make the minimum requirement of 65 points.
Yes, okay, thank you. Một bạn hỏi là nếu mà điểm của bạn chỉ có 50 điểm thôi thì bạn có thể apply được không? Thì câu trả lời rằng nếu mà 50 điểm đó là 50 điểm của riêng bạn dựa vào cái điểm tuổi, điểm kinh nghiệm làm việc và điểm học tập, thì bạn điểm tiếng Anh của bạn được 50 điểm, thì đối với chương trình SBO thì chính quyền tiểu bang Queensland đã tặng cho bạn 15 điểm rồi, thì 50 điểm này mình cộng với 15 điểm của chính quyền tiểu bang thì bạn đã đủ được cái minimum là 65 điểm khi bạn nộp hồ sơ. Yeah. Okay, we are waiting for another questions from the client. So that, nếu bạn có câu hỏi nào khác thì các bạn cứ nhắn tin lên cho bên mình ha. Thì sau nếu mà chúng ta không có câu hỏi nào khác mà sau khi mà webinar này kết thúc thì các bạn có thể liên hệ đến tư vấn viên của Prospero để bên mình có thể nhận câu hỏi cũng như là những cái thắc mắc của các bạn để chúng mình gửi đến cho luật sư cũng như chính quyền của tiểu bang để giải đáp các thông tin của các bạn ha. Chúng ta còn câu hỏi nào nữa không ạ? Hoặc là các bạn có thể giơ tay, raise your hand để đặt câu hỏi trực tiếp cho tụi ban luôn. Có một câu hỏi mình nhận riêng được là trong quá trình mà làm SBO thì các bạn phải vận hành các việc business, thì phía công ty có những cái hỗ trợ nào cho cái việc vận hành này không? Tại vì đa phần các bạn là mới là new student kết thúc cái việc học ấy, thì câu hỏi này thì maybe xin mời anh John đến từ Prospero có thể trả lời cho các bạn được không ạ? Về những nhiệm vụ hỗ trợ cho các bạn trong lúc vận hành business để thực hiện cái visa 491 này.
Xin cảm ơn câu hỏi của một bạn tham gia cái buổi hội thảo ngày hôm nay. Thì về cái hỗ trợ vận hành business á, vận hành doanh nghiệp á, thì giống như Robin cũng có nói lúc trong cái phần trình bày của luật sư Robin á, thì chúng tôi Prospero Solutions sẽ là cái đơn vị sẽ hỗ trợ cho các bạn trong cái việc mà vận hành cái business, từ cái việc due diligence, tức là kiểm tra, hay là cô Mani cũng có nói đó, dù kiểm tra các báo cáo tài chính như thế nào, coi cái doanh nghiệp đó hoạt động như thế nào, coi trước khi các bạn mua. Và chúng tôi cũng sẽ sắp xếp những cái luật sư chuyên về làm các thủ tục về mua bán, chuyển nhượng, sát nhập doanh nghiệp á, để hỗ trợ cho các bạn. Và song song đó trong cái quá trình điều hành doanh nghiệp á, bởi vì các bạn là những người sinh viên mới ra trường, những người làm startup, thành ra các bạn sẽ thiếu những cái kinh nghiệm, những cái kỹ năng để mà vận hành doanh nghiệp, từ chuyện set up cái doanh nghiệp như thế nào cho tới điều hành việc kinh doanh, marketing, tuyển dụng, rồi thực hiện các báo cáo tài chính một cách và các vấn đề về thuế một cách hợp pháp tại Úc. Và tại tiểu bang Queensland thì chúng tôi sẽ là cái người hướng dẫn cho các bạn, và chúng tôi có một cái đường dây nóng để mà hỗ trợ cho các bạn trong cái việc vận hành doanh nghiệp. Bất cứ lúc nào các bạn cần trong cái vấn đề doanh nghiệp thì chúng tôi cũng sẽ hỗ trợ các bạn, cũng như chúng tôi sẽ phối hợp với lại chính quyền tiểu bang như SBO Legal, văn phòng luật sư SBO Legal, để mà bảo đảm rằng các bạn làm đúng những cái điều kiện để các bạn có thể sau thời gian làm cái visa 1491 đó, thì các bạn đủ điều kiện để xin thường trú nhân vào cái visa 191. Thì đó là cái phần hỗ trợ. Tôi nghĩ là cái đó cũng rất là quan trọng trong quá trình vận hành, bởi vì các bạn sẽ có khoảng 4 năm, 3 tới khoảng 5 năm để các bạn chạy cái doanh nghiệp đó. Thì chúng tôi có những cái kỹ năng cũng như là những cái kinh nghiệm để mà hỗ trợ các bạn. So I just explained to them about the question about the how a Prospero Solution can support the clients during the course of running the business. Because we have expertise into the business consulting, so then I can, and especially I have the experience to work with the young entrepreneurs, young startup entrepreneurs. So then I can, during the course, I can help them to run the business, starting from like due diligence for the business before they can buying, and then during the course of the running the business, I can do the like help them to set up the management system, human resource, marketing, sales, and stuff, and connecting to the Vietnamese company network in Vietnamese business owner network in Australia, in Queensland. So I have them, and also I have the hotline for them. They can call me at any time because I'm living in Brisbane as well. So then I can help the client at any time to help them to overcome some of the obstacles during the course of running the business that I explained to the client for their question. Just briefly, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, John. Nếu các bạn không có câu hỏi nào thêm thì có thể là chúng ta có thể kết thúc buổi webinar hôm nay. Rất cảm ơn sự tham gia của quý vị khách hàng, các anh chị và các bạn đã tham gia vào buổi webinar hôm nay. Nếu các bạn có bất kỳ câu hỏi nào cũng như là mong muốn được tư vấn chuyên sâu hơn về chương trình 491 SBO thì các bạn có thể liên hệ với lại Prospero để chúng tôi có thể là cung cấp cho các bạn hướng tư vấn cụ thể nhất về cái điều kiện của các bạn có phù hợp với lại chương trình hay không ha. Thank you for having the presentation today, Minor, Minh, and Rubin, so that we there's no questions at the moment. So if I have another question, I will give you the email. This is the answer the client later. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Manny, for
Thank you,
joining
Manny.
us.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you so much again.
You're Robin.
All right.
Okay, thank
We'll be
you,
in
everyone.
touch.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye
Thanks,
bye.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Các bạn đã tham gia cái buổi webinar ngày hôm nay. Hy vọng sẽ sớm gặp lại các bạn trong những cái buổi webinar và những buổi seminar lần sau. Thank you everyone. Cheers.
Everyone, bye.
Trên màn hình là số điện thoại hotline của Prospero ở Việt Nam và ở Úc. Việt Nam, đối với các khách hàng ở Việt Nam thì chúng ta có thể gọi số hotline là 0333 975 166. Và nếu các bạn đang ở Úc thì các bạn có thể gọi số điện thoại 0421 368 869. Prospero hân hạnh được tư vấn và hỗ trợ các bạn trong cái visa này. Cảm ơn các bạn rất nhiều. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.